Okay, guys, welcome back to another Crush Line video. Today, we are doing another NFL predictions video. We are second to last video. Tomorrow, we're doing the Lions, and then we'll be done. So, a round of applause. We're almost done in just 2 days. My final predictions and playoff predictions will be up. So, be looking out for that. I'm honestly really excited to record that video. I love recording these. Anyway, let's talk about the Packers. Packers, of course, big thing. They have been great for years and years, and I don't see that slowing down this year. I mean, they've got, Aaron Rodgers, who has been good, and I mean, he hasn't really been showing his age. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I mean, and that is all with him only having Josiah DeGuara and Devontae Adams to throw to. And yes, they have Aaron Jones on there, who is one of the best running backs. I think he might be a bit underrated, even. So I think, I mean, their offense is still pretty formidable. They've got good players. I mean, it's pretty good with that running game is great. So, I mean, they can run the ball on you, and then really, he could have a bunch of Carsonian beans. He could have a bunch of me's as his wide receiver unit, and Aaron Rodgers would still find a way to have a successful passing attack. That is just how good he is. All right. And then on defense, I mean, they've got Adrian Amos, they've got Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith. They have an absolutely spectacular defense. The only thing I would say is that they're Christian Kirksey and Oren Burks on that defensive on that linebacker unit. I don't much like, but other than that, that 3-4 defense, I think that they'll be able to put pressure on the QB. I think they'll be able to shut down the passing game pretty well. They've got one of the best secondaries, and they have a very good defensive lines. So I think that they will be able to put pressure on the quarterback, and I think that they will be able to, block the passing game with a great secondary that mainly deals with passes. So that really what you're going to have to do if you're playing them, you're going to have a great running defense, and you're going to have a great running game. All right, it's going to be all about defense and rushing if you're playing against them. You really don't want to focus too hard on the passing. You don't want to pass the ball too much when you're against Green Bay. All right, so I mean, a lot of teams like I don't know, like Tampa Bay maybe that focus a lot on the passing game might struggle against the Packers, but we'll see. I haven't done these yet. So in week 1 to start the season off, they go to Minnesota. In Minnesota, the only bad thing you can really say about this offseason is maybe that they lost Stephon Diggs, but they replaced him with Justin Jefferson in the draft, who might even be better than Stephon Diggs. We don't know yet. So really, their offense probably just got better. Not to mention they've already got Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, who won nobody ever thought that he would win a playoff game, and he did last year against the Saints of any team. And I mean, they are one of the better teams in the league right now. I mean, it's going to be a fight between the Packers and the Vikings to see who are going to win this division. I'll be excited to see it. I'm excited to see how it plays off in my predictions. But I think in week 1, Minnesota just have such a great, rushing and passing attack. I mean, Dalvin Cook can completely dominate you. And they do have a great passing game. And I think they will be able to successfully kind of angled. I mean, they were doing that a lot last year where they weren't leaning too hard on Kirk Cousins in that passing game. And they were kind of doing a lot with Dalvin Cook. And yes, they do have Rudolph. They do have Adam Thielen on there. So that passing attack will do pretty well. And I think they'll be able to. This will be a pretty high-scoring game. But you look at Minnesota's defense, which is very good. And I think Minnesota can get the win in week 1 here. And then in week 2, Detroit comes to Green Bay. Green Bay, Detroit, they've got Matthew Stafford is very, in my opinion, I think he's underrated, but I don't know if he's good enough to get this win. I mean, especially in Green Bay. I don't see them sweeping them, and I definitely don't see them early in the season beating Green Bay at home. So I think Green Bay gets the win here. They've got a few tough games here, and then they go into New Orleans. And New Orleans, you already know, they've got Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas, who I think is the best wide receiver in the league. We got that amazing defense with like Marcus Davenport on. They are probably fighting for best team in the league right now, and I think they can get the win at home against Green Bay. Just a powerhouse of a team. This would be a good game. This could be a very good game to watch. And I do think that New Orleans can pull it out, though. And then, so they're 1-2, which is that's pretty bad for a team like Green Bay, but don't worry, I think it should get better because Atlanta's coming to town. Atlanta, they got Julio Jones, they've got Matt Ryan, everyone knows that. Their offense can be good at times, but I don't really think that it's good enough to really win lots of games, and especially when you're going up against a team so good as Green Bay. I think Green Bay gets to win here. And I mean, look, they do have a week 5 bye week, which isn't the best thing, but you see they kind of get off of a rocky start here. I think this bye week could really be best in their interest, because I mean, you see they have to come out here and they come out here and they have to play against teams like the they have to play the Buccaneers and the Texans and the Vikings right in a row right there. This bye week is probably the best. This is probably the best place for the bye week to be. I mean, look. I mean, you look. They've got Buccaneers, they've got Texans, they've got Vikings, and then they got 49ers all in a row right there. That's 4 really tough games. And we're going to see if they can win that. And I think going into Tampa Bay, who, like I said earlier, focuses a lot on that passing attack, I think they'll be able to get a lot of pressure on Tom Brady, and he's not very mobile. But we've seen, and so I don't know. They'll put pressure on him, and he's getting older, and I think he'll probably make some throws that he probably shouldn't. And I know he's got, Mike Evans. He's got he's got lots of new receivers for him to play with. Rob Gronkowski. So they've got a solid passing game, but also, I mean, you look at Green Bay, they have an amazing pass defense. So I think this is a good matchup for Green Bay, and I think Green Bay can get the win here. And 3-2 kind of like remind everyone, hey, we are a pretty good team. And then they go into Houston, who they got David Johnson and they upgraded their running game. And I know right now you're saying, oh, but they lost DeAndre Hopkins. That was a terrible trade. I agree wholeheartedly. But still, you have to look at the positives that came from that, in that they did upgrade their running back unit. So this is a pretty good matchup for Houston. And plus, I mean, you do have like Willie Snead. You do have DeAndre Hopkins. That passing game is still going to be fairly good this season. And I think that they can get the win here at home. And so yeah, Green Bay loses this one. They're 3-3. They've had tough games, and I think they split with Minnesota. I just don't see either team sweeping any other team. I don't see either team sweeping either team. Does that make any sense? It better. All right, and then they go into San Francisco, another tough game, a rematch of the NFC Conference game from last year. There's a reason it's Thursday Night Football. This should be a very good game, kind of a revenge game for Green Bay. I think that in this season, 49ers are going to take a step back. You know, they made it to the Super Bowl, but I don't think they're necessarily going to fall back, you know, kind of like the Panthers did or the Rams did. But I think they will take a step back. I don't think they will be as dominant, and I think the Green Bay will be able to win. They do have Raheem Mostert. They can get a running game started. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is a very good quarterback, so this could be in the 49ers' favor. Of course, you saw it in the playoffs last year. It played off basically perfectly for them. But I don't know if San Francisco's defense can hold Green Bay. They do have a solid one, but I don't know if it's solid enough. All right. So they're 5-3. People are kind of wondering, like, hey, they've been losing. They've been winning some. They've got a tough schedule, though. People are probably thinking maybe that they're not going to win the NFC North. But then they've got, I mean, look at their second half of the season is definitely easy. They play Jacksonville. They play Carolina. They play the Bears twice. They play Detroit. I mean, definitely, I don't really see very many games that they should lose. I mean, ignore Week 18, that's the playoffs, and we won't be getting that. We won't be getting to that in this video. So in Week 10, Jacksonville goes into Green Bay, and Jacksonville is going to be all about basically Gardner Minshew. Is he going to turn into the quarterback that they want him to be? Is he going to evolve and become this amazing quarterback that he was? You saw kind of flashes in the beginning of last season, but if he doesn't, they're going to kind of be falling back on Leonard Fournette, who's looked good in the past, but I don't know if he's good enough now. And I'm not a really big believer in Gardner Minshew. I think this offense is kind of going to be a mess. They do have a pretty good defense, though. That defense can get some stops. I think this is a game that Jacksonville, I don't really think it's in their favor. I don't think they have a good matchup, but I think if that defense steps in, if Gardner Minshew does become the quarterback they want him to become, I think this could be a game that Jacksonville might be able to sneak out, but I don't think, looking at what I've seen, I don't think that they can as of right now, and I think Green Bay gets the win here, 6-3, and then they go into Indianapolis, who have Phillip Rivers with more weapons than he had with the Chargers. He has tons. I mean, he can basically go to anyone right now. That offense is going to be amazing. And look at their defense; it is also spectacular. They're going to be one of the best teams. I mean, you look at the AFC West, might be the AFC South might be pretty competitive this year. It's going to be a very good division to watch, and I think this game is going to kind of show that Indianapolis is going to be one of the better quarterbacks. I know that Philip Rivers wasn't exactly amazing in his past few years with the Chargers, but he also was he was pretty good though. I mean, the Chargers they were rivaling. I mean, they made the playoffs. They looked good 2 years back. They've been looking good. And I think, Indianapolis takes advantage of that. They get one of the better quarterbacks. They make him better with all the new weapons that they have. I think they could turn back into kind of what they were when they had Andrew Luck, in that they are going to have a very good quarterback. They have a lot of the same weapons, minus Eric Ebron, of course, but they have a lot of the same weapons that they had there, and I think they could become that kind of powerhouse. Of course, I think they're going to go 9-7. I think this is going to be kind of a rocky start, but I think if Philip Rivers plays like I think he will, and if he stays in there, I think Indianapolis could become a powerhouse in this league over the next couple of years. And then Chicago goes into Green Bay. Chicago, they have basically two backup quarterbacks fighting for a starting job. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, he's looked good before a few years back. He's looked great, but I don't think it was. I mean, you saw last year he played absolutely terribly, and before that, I mean, he was good, but he wasn't amazing. All right, and I mean, that offense, I mean, they've got David Montgomery, so that running game, again, this could be a good matchup, but while I said you do want to have a great running game, you also do want to have some kind of passing game, and Chicago doesn't really have that. It's going to be leaning on their defense heavily, and they do have a great front seven, but so this is a good matchup in Chicago's favor if they were a bit better, but I still don't see them winning against Green Bay. Maybe in Week 17 we'll see what happens, but as of right now, I just think Green Bay can get the win here. And then Philadelphia goes into Green Bay. It's going to be all on Carson Wentz in this game. Carson Wentz is, in my opinion, he's a pretty good quarterback. I don't necessarily like him that much, but I do think that he's got skill. Whenever he's healthy, he is a good player. So I think that the Eagles, of course, they will be okay. But I really don't think that they are that good of a team, and I think Green Bay can win this one. And I am going to have Green Bay sweeping Detroit. I've said my reasons back in Week 2. 9-4, and then they go up against Carolina. This is a game that they should win, right? I don't know. This could be a better game than a lot of people think. You saw them last year. They played competitively with Green Bay last year. They do still have Christian McCaffrey. In my opinion, I think Teddy Bridgewater is better than Kyle Allen. And I know you see everyone was hyping up Cam Newton when he went to the Patriots. Why didn't they just keep him? Come on, man. Anyways, so they do have Christian McCaffrey. They lost Kuechly. They lost a lot of players on that defense. Of course, they spent all of their picks in the draft on defense, and I think they overall became better than that. They do have a solid. DJ Moore. They do have a solid passing game, and I think it shows in this game. I think they can get the win here, Carolina, actually. I know I have them at 5-11, but I think towards the end of the season they start showing how good they can be. I think it'll just take a bit for everything. They do have a lot of rookies on that defense. They have a brand new quarterback. They lost a lot of key players. You see Greg Olsen even left. So it's going to be a completely different team, so it'll take them a bit to get into things. But I think next year they could become a pretty good team in the league. All right. And then in Week 16, you've got a potential future playoff game here, or a game that could have a lot of influence on positioning. This could be a game that potentially has a lot to do with where people go in the who gets the bye. And I think Green Bay, look, Tennessee, you're talking about a good running game. Tennessee has an amazing running game. But you also look at the defense. It is good, but I don't know if it is great. Their defense is going to have to struggle against Green Bay. I don't know if they could keep it close. They definitely could keep it close, and they definitely could get the win here. But I think Green Bay overall just has a better team, and they can get the win. And then they go into Chicago, and obviously I'm not going to have them losing. I think Green Bay sweeps Chicago to go 11-5, and look at that. They win their division. So technically, I've predicted every team's schedule, but I haven't gone through the Detroit Lions schedule. So for any of your Lions fans out there, don't you worry. I will be doing a Lions video tomorrow if you want to see that. While you could say, oh yeah, they're 4-12, you don't know my reasons for all that unless you go through and watch every other video in which the Lions play. So here's what they are now. Let's do worst case scenario. This is as bad as I'm willing to say with the talent that they have. Maybe, without any weapons, Aaron Rodgers crumbles. That defense, I mean, that not so great linebacker unit kind of becomes a huge weak spot. Maybe their front seven kind of implodes on itself, and they really, they don't put any pressure on quarterbacks. They let, they have an average of 5 yards per carry for the other team. Aaron Jones doesn't play any good. This is basically as bad as I'm willing to say. Obviously, they could lose to Tampa Bay, and they could be swept by Minnesota. I mean, this is just bad. This isn't likely. Okay, obviously they lose these 5 games. These 5 games here, they lose them. All right, and again, this isn't likely. This isn't what I think will happen. This is worst case scenario. If you hate the Packers, this is what you think will happen. And then I think Tennessee could get the win there. And I think that they could possibly lose, though, because Philadelphia, they look good in the years prior. You saw them, of course, when they won the Super Bowl. So 5-11 is as bad as I am willing to say that they can possibly get. This is catastrophic. Things go completely wrong. My mind is blown. This is as bad as I'm willing to say that it possibly can go. I think a lot of people seem to think that this is what I think will likely happen. Worst record I think that can likely happen is 11-5. The best record that I think can likely happen is 11-5. 11-5 is the record that I think will happen. So don't hate me for saying that the worst they can be is 5-11. All right? A lot of teams, for most teams, it's been much, much worse than that. They put everything back where it was. Should all switch in a second. Yep. 11-5. And then this is best case scenario. This is everybody takes off. Aaron Rodgers takes strides. He becomes the best quarterback in the league, rivaling that of Lamar Jackson. He is absolutely spectacular. Obviously, they beat Houston. I think they could sweep Minnesota. Minnesota. They couldn't sweep Minnesota. I might have them winning that game, no matter what. Losing that game, no matter what. And I think that they could win these 2 games. And I think that the best they could possibly be, and again, this isn't likely. It's probably more likely than them going 5-11 by a long shot. But this is as good as I'm willing to say they go. I'm saying they go 1-2 in the beginning, and then they take off and they win 13 straight games. Okay? So if you're a Packers fan, this is what you hope will happen. This is the Packers fan's dream. If you are a Packers fan, you want this to happen so you can show everyone that your team still got it. Of course, your best case scenario is still only second in the NFC. But a lot of teams haven't even gotten close to 14. Most teams don't even get close to 14-2 when we're talking about their best worst case scenario. So I think after everything switches again, I hate how slow my computer is. But you already saw it. It's 11-5. They win the NFC North. Congratulations. Did I not click on it? Okay, there we go. So now they're back to being 11-5. So, congratulations, you guys. In my predictions, you guys won the NFC North. This is what I think will happen. You guys have a great team. You guys can go to playoffpredictors.com and you can make your own predictions. Send them to me via Twitter, Instagram. You can link it in your YouTube comment using the perma link up at the top there. You can send it to me using Patreon somehow. Your Patreon DM. You have to be supporting me though, which no one is. And or you could just tell me in the comments hey, I think they'll go 9-7. I hate them. It's up to you. Or you could just like the video if you liked it, and you could dislike it if I said a racial slur. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. I have some pretty cool videos planned. Give me video ideas. I need them. I will use them. I will heart your comments. I'll answer any questions you have in the comments. No one's watching this. If you're still watching this, comment apricot, and I will shout you out. I swear.